Hello, everyone. Welcome to Star's webinar on Dor. Today I have with me special guest Sean. He's the VP of Sales and Marketing at Dor. He's got a wonderful presentation for us. Um, any questions you have, you can put them in the dashboard on the GoToWebinar screen, and we'll be sure to answer them as they come in. Sean, take it away.
Cool. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys, for taking the time to join our little webinar here. So I'm Sean. I manage sales and marketing for Door. And what we do is essentially we help retailers understand their customer traffic to their physical store. How well is your marketing doing at driving customers to your physical locations? Once they're there, are you staffed appropriately to meet their needs? Are you overstaffed, wasting labor dollars, or are you understaffed, not giving your customers the help that they need, or are you just perfect? Are you just right? And then things like conversion rate, can calculate that without foot traffic, and we have a really easy way, especially with the help of Star, to do that automatically for you. Track conversion rate over time, store versus store, how that changes, and even pull things like weather to optimize your store. So rainy days, sunny days, those all have an effect on your store traffic, and you can use those to optimize your store operations. But basically what I want to talk about today is why foot traffic, why is it important, who cares, why do we even bother? The current landscape of foot traffic counters and sort of the challenges with each of those, and then spend a lot of time on why Door is different, the hardware advantages, the software advantages that we have, and just the whole experience that we offer. And then finally, what's in it for you guys? What's in it for our partners and our resellers, and how can you bring this to your customers and your retailers, and even outside of retail? We do a lot of business outside, so we can talk about all those things, but let's sort of get right into it. And again, if you have any questions at any time, feel free to just shoot those over that question submission box, and I'll answer those as we move along. So basically, the three main business cases around foot traffic. Actually, there's a fourth one as well. One is marketing. So, like I mentioned, it's extremely easy to calculate marketing's effectiveness if you're an e-commerce player. If you have an online store, you know exactly where everybody's coming from. You know exactly how long they spent on every single page, how many pages they viewed, if this is their 27th time back on their website, if they made a purchase, what they purchased. You know everything about that person. But in physical retail, it's much more difficult. Typically, what we see is retailers from one store mom and pops to thousands and thousands of store giants. Most of what they know about their customers is after their transaction. So justifying marketing spend is easy to do on e-commerce because you know where people come from, you know what ads they clicked on, but it's more difficult to justify expenses in the physical world. Typically what we see is people will spend money on marketing and then look at their point of sale and say, okay, well, I spent 10 grand on this marketing campaign and I saw a 20 grand uplift or a 10% uplift or whatever it is. So that marketing campaign was great. Let's do that again. But what we don't see is how good of an opportunity that could have been. Time and time again, we see spending money on a marketing campaign and quadrupling foot traffic, quintupling foot traffic, but then revenue only goes up, let's say 50%, which is great. It's incredible. But if you're quadrupling your foot traffic because you have this crazy event, then why shouldn't your revenue also quadruple or at least get closer to that number? But you don't know that without foot traffic. The second biggest thing is staffing, and there's a study done by a co-study done by Penn State and UNC that showed that 86% of the time retailers are either over or understaffed. 9 out of every 10 hours, almost, a retailer is either wasting money on labor dollars that they don't need to spend, having employees just sort of leaning around waiting for something to do, or you have customers coming into the store ready to buy, ready to make a purchase, but they can't find the help that they need, or the line is too long and they have their items in their hands and they're like, well, I'm not waiting in line. I'll come back later, maybe. 86% of the time, that's a huge amount of time. And the reason for this is most people look at their point of sales data. Again, they only look at what their success was. When did people make purchases? And they assume that whenever those times are that people are making purchases and transactions, that those are the busiest times. Well, that's not always the case. Typically what we see is by looking at foot traffic data and seeing when your store is actually busy with people who have not made a purchase yet, but certainly have the intention to. They're in the store. By monitoring your foot traffic and moving staffing around to meet that customer demand when and where it is, you see an immediate uplift in conversion rate and customer experience. Conversion rate is a huge thing that isn't on here, but time and time again, we'll get into this a little bit later in our customer success stories. But even by moving around staffing, you can see several percentage points increase in conversion rate. And what conversion rate is obviously the amount of people who walked in your store versus the amount of people that actually made a purchase. So 10%, 15%, 20, 50%. It really depends on the store. A lot of times people will ask us, well, what's a good conversion rate? And there really is no good answer, unfortunately. The best answer, I can't just say 35%. What I can say is it really depends on where that store is, what type of clientele go into that store, what products you're selling, how much traffic you get, whether you're downtown versus in the suburbs versus in a mall. It's totally going to be subjective, even within the same chain. So you really have to be looking at same store conversion rate and how that changes over time. And you just can't do that without foot traffic data. And then weather. There's been a lot of studies on weather, and really nobody takes this into consideration most of the time. One study put weather's impact on revenue volatility. So basically what that means is every dollar above or below what you make normally on average is due to weather. And it's not just, hey, there's a hurricane coming through or there's a blizzard and I physically can't get to the store, so there's no traffic. That we know about those. But it's the everyday, it's rainy, it's sunny, it's too hot outside, it's too cold outside. All of those things have a huge impact on your store's foot traffic and therefore on your revenue. But all of those things are very tough to calculate and coordinate. And the reason for that is the typical solutions just don't cut it. These two sides of the spectrum have been around for a very long time. On one side, you have brake beams that will count everything and anything that passes through them, whether they're walking in, walking out, shopping carts, strollers, human beings, service animals, anything that breaks that beam, it counts. So the data is very inaccurate. And then getting data off of those brake beams is a huge challenge. Most of the time, people have to walk over to the door, write down the number. Okay, well, we started today with 532, and now we have 607. So subtract those, put those into a spreadsheet, send those to corporate. Nobody likes doing it. Half the time, it never gets done. And it's just very difficult to deal with. And it just can't scale because of all that time being spent. On the opposite side of the spectrum, there are cameras which are mostly good accuracy-wise. They do need a lot of maintenance to keep them accurate. There's a lot of calibration that goes into them. If you want to install one, it takes about 8 weeks for the whole process. Come and do a site survey, run power, run Ethernet, point it at the door, calibrate it, draw the lines where you want to count people, keep coming back every 3 to 6 months to recalibrate it, which is another several $100s. But overall, it's several $1,000s up front in every single year to keep these things up and running. So for most of the market, it's just not an option. So between these, it just hasn't been a really good, solid solution that could deliver accurate counts, that can scale and be affordable at the same time. And that's why we came up with Dor. Basically, like I said, what Dor is, we help retailers and other businesses understand their foot traffic, and we do so in an incredibly easy way, affordable, easy just to get the accurate data, but also to consume it and make sense of it. Because it's one thing just to have data, like, okay, well, now what? We provide both sides of that spectrum. So a couple of those things that we talked about earlier. So obviously measuring foot traffic. So with Dor, you can get hourly data on how many customers visit your store. You can see that those trends over time, measure marketing effectiveness, plan your staffing. Within the dashboard, you can manage multiple stores. So we have customers with one store, we have customers with 10,000 stores and everything in between. So this is truly a scalable option for really anybody. It's really easy to manage multiple stores, group stores together where you want to say, okay, this is the Southeast region. versus Northeast or Territory 23 or just the San Francisco stores. Whatever you want to do, you can manage your stores the way you want in Door. We can integrate with the point of sale system to automatically calculate conversion rate for you. We do that through direct integrations with Lightspeed and Square, and we will have one coming out with Star. So Lightspeed and Square, anybody who has one of those, they can just 2 clicks log into your Square account, log into Lightspeed, click authorize Door. Okay, great. We're automatically pulling in point of sale data to calculate your conversion rate and track that for you. And I'll show you that in a little bit. And then the beauty about our relationship with Star is that no matter what point of sale you have, and there are a billion out there, if you have a Star printer, you're good to go. Weather information as well is available on the Door app. So like I said, you can be proactive about things like it being sunny or rainy. If you know it's going to be a bad day and know it's going to come in, you can maybe not send someone home, but you could move up inventory to that day or move around signage or whatever it is. Or if you know it's going to be beautiful, you can call someone in and make sure you're getting the most of those opportunities. And then outside of our dashboard, we do have the ability to integrate with basically anything, business intelligence tools, dashboards, reporting, whatever you want. We have data exports through CSV or Excel, but our API is very friendly and we can play nicely with everybody else. So there's 2 sides to Door. Like I said, one side is getting data and getting accurate data. So like I said, with break beams, they count everything. Anytime that breaks the beam, it counts. Cameras use very expensive camera visual-based technology. Takes a lot of calibration. It takes a lot of maintenance to keep that up and running. But at Door, we built our own thermal-based solution with algorithms on top of that to make sense of heat signatures and how they move through space. So we don't count shopping carts. We don't count strollers. We don't count anything like that. All we count is your actual opportunity, actual real counts. That's all. It installs in literally 2 seconds, and I will walk you through that later. Literally peel and stick. That's it. Totally battery operated. It runs on 4 AA batteries that last between a year and a year and a half, and those are just standard AA's, easily changeable. There's no running wires, no drilling holes. You don't even need Wi-Fi in your store because we provide our own out-of-the-box cellular connection. So you don't need Wi-Fi in your store. If you have Wi-Fi, we don't need to do any crazy network security studies to get on your network or anything like that. Everything is out of the box. You get a box, put the batteries in, stick it up on the door, and you're counting. That's it. That's all you need to do. And everything is made here in the U.S. in Dallas. So we're not buying anybody else's hardware from overseas or anything like that. We built it ourselves. It's assembled in the U.S. So really, really easy to deploy. And then on the software side, every hour, like I said, the sensor is going to check in with your dashboard to provide you with your latest and greatest traffic data. And you can access this anywhere. We have native iOS and Android apps. You can get this on any device you want, anywhere in the world. You can be on vacation in Fiji and check up on all of your stores in Nashville or San Francisco or Durham or New York, wherever you are. You can see those all essentially in real time. Like I said, our point of sale integration allows you to track your conversion rate. I can integrate with anything you want using our API. Weather, staffing, there are a bunch of things you can do within the Door dashboard just by having that foot traffic data and then marrying it with other forms of data. And always free updates. When we come out with new things, you're going to get those as well. As well, lifetime warranty on all the hardware as well. I think I forgot to mention. So anything ever happens to it, there's no like $300 service fee or calibration fee or anything like that. No worries at all. As long as you're a Door customer, you're covered, you're set. This is literally all you need to do for Door. Really 3-step process. Stick the sensor on your store entrance, get your analytics automatically pumped to you to your dashboard, and then start making decisions. Really, really simple, really, really easy. In order to demonstrate that, I got a little bit of a video. It's like 2 minutes long, but literally this is the whole process of installing Door. And a lot of times, the reason why I want to show this is because a lot of times people will come into a meeting with us and they're like, I just don't get it. Like, you guys they come in with like 10 technical people ready to do network security questions, or store maintenance people, store ops people trying to figure out where to install these things. We're like, let's unlearn everything that we know. It's like a bad infomercial. Like, forget everything you know about houseplants or whatever. Like, forget everything you know about traffic counters and how they work. Because Dor is unlike any of them. So I'm going to start with this. Hopefully this shows up well. But basically in this sort of overview, what we're setting up is one location with one door. If you have more than one door, you just need more sensors. It's really, really easy. But in order to do that, we've got one door hub on the left and one door sensor on the right. And we'll talk about those in a little bit. But the first step is just to go to getdor.com/activate. The activation sequence is built really to guide you through every step of the way. Just start and enter your serial number. We automatically pull the hardware assigned to your location, just confirm it's cool, and then that's it. We know you're you. So we start with the door hub. That's what you see here. Basically what that does is it provides the cellular network connection that the sensor will use to update your dashboard every hour. So in the box, you have the hub itself and a power cable. This is the most riveting install you will ever see, I guarantee you. Plug it in. That's it. That's all you need to do. That can go anywhere. It can go behind that cash register. It can go behind a display, whatever you want. And as soon as you plug it in, it'll just check in. And then the activation panel will automatically confirm that it's working. Once that's up and running, we go to the sensor. Really, really easy again. So included in the box is a mounting plate, which has 2 adhesive strips on the back to mount the door on, 4 AA batteries like myself, and then the sensor itself. And the activation panel is going to show you whether it's better to side or top mount the sensor based on the type of door you have. But for now, put the batteries in. That's it. That's all you need to do. This is like rocket science here. The second most difficult thing to do, put the batteries in the correct way. But like I said, the activation panel will tell you what type of door you have, where you need to mount the sensor. In this demonstration, we're doing sort of a side mount. So just peel and stick the mounting piece and then click the sensor into place. And that's install. You're done. You're ready to go. That's sort of what the door looks like. Super, super simple. This is much shorter than the 8 weeks it takes to put a camera up. And as soon as you say, yeah, I did that, great, we look for it and we say, yeah, you did it. Congratulations, you've done it. You've now set up your store with traffic counting. I'll move on to the next one here. So that's the hardware bit. Again, guys, if you have any questions about anything, feel free to drop those in the question box there. But I can move on to the software bit. But before I do, just a little bit about the hardware. Some of the questions that people ask about is just how does it work? We touched on it a little bit, but basically how it works is we have this cone that we send out. It's not a break beam. It's not visual. There's this cone of thermal sensors that we sort of surround the door with, and we're looking for specific heat signatures and how they move from inside to outside or inside to not outside. And that way we can determine what's a human being, what's an adult human being that we care about versus what's a shopping cart or stroller or anything like that, and then determine whether they're moving in versus moving out and deliver you the most accurate counts possible. So I'll move on to the dashboard here a little bit. And this is basically just the first thing that you would see when you logged into app.getdor.com. Again, this is available on any device at all. Right now, we're looking at a retail chain with 100 locations, and I'll show you a little bit of the granularity you can get with just 1 or 2 or however many locations. But this is the first thing that you would see on the dashboard when you log in. So here's what your company-wide information looks like: day, week, month, and year. For today, you can see. Well, this is actually yesterday I pointed to because we got better data on that. For traffic today, you can see this is what your foot traffic total looks like. 1,763 people came in at between 1 and 2 p.m. And you can track that over the course of today. You can change this to view whatever you want. You want it this month, go for it. Take a look at it. Great. You can change whatever time periods you want, and you can have foot traffic rankings, how people are looking today versus, what were my rankings last week. foot traffic and how that compares to the rest of your locations, you can switch through there. And if you wanted to, you can drill down to a specific location here, look at their traffic for this month, and get a little bit more of a granular view. As far as staffing goes, I'll jump down there really quickly. What we provide is, like I was saying before, staffing is one of the most important aspects of obviously your store and where the money goes, but one of the biggest value adds that we can provide with foot traffic data. And the way that we do that, you might be familiar with this from like a point of sale dashboard, but this is actually when your store is busy. Point of sale dashboards only show you when you were successful at converting a customer to converting a visitor to a paying customer. It doesn't show you all those people who walked in, maybe interested, maybe confused about what your store is, maybe I want to buy something right now and it was out of stock or whatever. That all of those people aren't taken into account in point of sale dashboards. We take into account everybody who walked in, and that's really who you need to be staffing to. So this is showing all locations for the past week to show you, on average, this is when your stores are busy. So obviously the weekends are going to be busier. A lot of times people are sort of surprised, like, wow, I never really knew, like, right off the bat, Mondays and Tuesdays and Fridays, we get a lot of traffic. And then again, it picks up in the mid-afternoon. We totally weren't staffed for that. But we can see sometimes a little bit of dip in conversion rate because of that missing in staffing. And we can go check out Anaheim. We'll pull them as the guinea pig here. When you go down to an individual store level, we actually put in the weather forecast as well for you. So you can see exactly what's coming for this store. And we also pull in the weather forecast for the past week. So this is what we're looking at the last week. And we can see this is the actual foot traffic for the Anaheim store. We can see conversion rate, the exact weather, how that might have affected that store during the day. We are hooked up through a point of sale, so we can see their specific conversion rates. We already know busiest day is Saturday, slowest day is Tuesday. Conversion rates, how they change over time. All of this is basically to help you understand when to staff people. So definitely you need more people on, obviously Saturday and Sunday. But a lot of people find, I didn't realize that Monday afternoon was that busy. That's kind of crazy. So they move around staffing and instantly see an increase in conversion rate and therefore an increase in revenue thereafter. Let's move on to sales as well, because this is an interesting one. So essentially what the sales dashboard is built to do is to help you understand all of your opportunities, how good are you at converting those opportunities into paying customers, and what that's worth to you. So today, let's go back to yesterday, since we don't have today's data yet. So yesterday's conversion rate across all locations was 13%. Number of transactions, total number of dollars, foot traffic visitors, conversion rate trends this week, what the daily average is. Highest day so far has been Sunday at 16%. And then you can see this is sort of the main bit here where we take a look at, okay, you had total foot traffic come in up here, on Sunday it was 24,286. You only closed about 3,800 of those. So your conversion rate for that day was about 16%. Really give you an understanding of what those missed opportunities were. So by taking in we can show you your revenue per visitor. So on average, how much does someone walking into your door mean to you? And if you're spending $5 to get someone to walk through the door based on your marketing spend, and they only spend $2 on average, well, then we need to start rethinking some things. But on the backside of that, we can also correlate what your average transaction size from your point of sale, and then extrapolate that over the course of the rest of your opportunities. So the people you actually closed spent on average, I don't know, $100 per transaction, but you missed 1,000 people. So what does that mean to you? So that's what this missed potential revenue means for you, and you can track that over time. You can track that over, months, whatever you want to do, and you can see what the average is and how those days compare to each other. Below that, you can also see a bit of how revenue compares to foot traffic right here. I'll switch back to let's go last month. Let's see what that looks like. So you can see revenue compared to foot traffic and what that means to your business. You can compare things like revenue to conversion rate, and if there's crazy spikes or anything that you don't really know about or want to investigate further, and then conversion rate to foot traffic. Typically, what we see is when you have foot traffic spikes that are unexpected, you're going to see a dip in conversion rate. Simply because you're not staffed appropriately, you might not have the things in stock that you wanted to keep in stock of, but mostly that's due to a staffing issue. One of the coolest things about this is the explore function. Basically, this is what allows you to compare and contrast store versus store, region versus region, over whatever custom time period you want. So if I wanted to see, the Anaheim store, the Atlanta store, and then the Baltimore store, I can look at that and I can say, okay, here's how they compare over time. I can even do tags if I had tags. I don't think there are any tags in here. So I can group a bunch of locations together and I can say, okay, this is the eastern region, this is the northwest region, southeast, whatever it is, and then compare those, and then even compare stores within those regions to each other, both as far as foot traffic and other things are concerned. So you can compare custom date ranges, whatever you want to do. Let's say, these days, okay, great. Yep. So we can change that. Change the interval to an hour. If you want to do an hour over a long period of time, that's not available on a graph because it gets kind of messy. But what you can do is export that data. So you can export that into a CSV or Excel, and it will send in a report right to your email. Really, really, really easy. And then down to the locations page, we can see every location that we have, all the devices that we have out there, so you can really get an understanding of what the health of your fleet is. So, like I said, there's compared to other solutions, there's really no maintenance you ever need to do, but sometimes things happen. People might unplug the hub, or we do proactively let you know that the batteries are ending about a year and a half after you install them. But those happen. You got to know about them, right? So here's a list of all your locations. But by clicking this, we can drill down and see exactly what's going on. So 3 locations out of my 100 have device issues. Okay, so Arlington, Buffalo, and San Antonio. Okay, cool. So let me just click on Buffalo, and this is what's going on with Buffalo. So I can see, okay, this is the fake address, location name, location phone number. You can change that. The team members that are associated to this location, who has access to this location. So we do have role-based access controls. So if you have someone or a group of people at corporate that need God access, they need to be able to see everything, you can absolutely grant that to them. They can invite people to, the regional managers can invite their store managers can invite other people, or you can set them up so they're read only. They don't have the ability to invite anybody or view billing data or anything like that. You can just invite them to say, hey, check out the data. That's really easy to do. So team members, devices associated to this location, the weather, view sales, view staffing for this location. And then you can see all the people who are associated to this account. You can invite them, you can get rid of them. You can view the device information. So this location has 2 devices, the base station and the sensor just have 1 door. You can add a description of where the device is placed. So typically the base station will be like, okay, under cash register or behind display or wherever it is. Sensor is on the door. Or if you have multiple doors, this is where it comes in handy. Okay, on the Main Street door versus the South Street door or whatever it is. If you drill down into the status here, it'll show you, hey, we lost connection on January 6th. I mean, this is an old demo, but this is what's going on, and you can troubleshoot the issue by going here, and it'll bring up, hey, these are the base station troubleshooting steps. Essentially, the troubleshooting steps is plug it in. That's it. So really, really easy to follow on. And then I'll show you a good example of a location. I think that might give a little bit more context. So if we go into Anaheim, we can see everything's up and running, everything's good. So you can see that, yes, green check mark, everything looks great, wonderful. Power, we're getting power, wonderful, signal is great. Battery level for the sensor signal. We will let you know, like I said, proactively when you get down past a certain battery threshold. That way, you don't run into a situation where you're losing data because you're not powering up the sensor. If while I'm here, I'm going to mention if for whatever reason the base station does get unplugged and the sensor can't reach the dashboard, it can't reach us. It will store data for several weeks before it starts overwriting itself. So if you lose power or whatever, or if someone kicks out the hub, no worries, just plug it back in. And then next time that sensor checks in, it will dump all of its data and you'll have everything ready to go, no problem. So that's the dashboard. A lot of cool things going on there. And I'll switch back to the presentation. Let's double check on questions or anything like that. How far can the hub be placed from the sensor and how many sensors can it manage by store? So the hub must be placed ideally within 30 feet of 30 feet of the sensor of the door that it's tracking. And theoretically, there are an unlimited number of sensors that it can manage as long as they're within those that 30-foot boundary. So if you have think of like a Macy's or something like that at a mall where you have 5 doors all lined up right next to each other, one hub can totally handle all of those, no problem. But if you have a location where one door is on one side of the store, another door is on the other side of the store 500 feet away, then you're going to need two hubs for those. And that's totally fine because all the information can be correlated and they all talk to each other, so it'll be in aggregate into your dashboard. However, through the API, if you really want to understand how many people are coming in one door versus another, that is something that we can do, and we do a lot for facility management. So conference rooms, bathrooms, we do a lot in office buildings, understanding where people are moving and where they're moving through. You can get down to the sensor level and say, okay, people are going through this door versus that door versus that door. So that is something you can absolutely do. Hope that answers your question. So just want to give a couple of different customer use cases that we have. So Boost Mobile is one of them. Typically what we see on the larger end of the spectrum is that people know why they need foot traffic. Like all of this is understood. They know they need foot traffic data, but they just can't get it because either brake beams just don't give accurate data, or cameras are very expensive and very laborsome to roll out. So Boost Mobile is one of those. They had a foot traffic project that was only able to roll out to a couple hundred locations, just kind of a small percentage of their total overall, and that was after 2 years. With Dor, we were able to roll out to that many in just a matter of weeks. And 150 locations doesn't take us that long to roll. It doesn't even take us that long to roll out. So we can roll out on your schedule, whatever you want to do, but it's extremely easy to roll out and to manage that fleet. And then because they were using Dor, they were getting foot traffic data, accurate foot traffic data. They were able to see when their staffing was optimal and when it wasn't. They moved around their staffing. They were able to save on a lot of wasted labor dollars, but in addition to that, they were able to increase their conversion rate and attachment rate significantly. So and that led them to an ROI just a few weeks. It's extremely rapid to be able to take advantage of Dor data. Another one is, want to give an example of a really awesome customer of ours on the independent side of the spectrum. Like I said, Dor is available to anybody. A large part of the market that is the independent market has been sort of left by the wayside by traditional traffic counters because brake beams just don't work. But then cameras are just so expensive that they're just not willing to spend several $1,000s on a foot traffic counter, which just doesn't make sense to them. So we were able to, and then do all the installation and everything like that. So we're able, like you saw before, we're able to just ship everything to you in a box. Everything is pre-configured. There's nothing you need to do besides plug in the hub, stick the sensor on the door, and that's it. Done. Really, really, really easy. Another one is Habitat for Humanity Restore. They were able to use this to justify expanding their store hours because they saw when that traffic was coming in. They saw as soon as they opened up at 10 a.m. Or actually specifically noon on Sundays. They saw people are like waiting to get in. We need to open up a little bit earlier, stay open a little bit later. They were able to do that and increase their revenue significantly, while also not adding really to their resources and resource drain. So a little bit on pricing, what Door is. So for the hardware is a one-time cost. That's if you have one location, one door. The hardware kit to get started is $190. So $95 for the hub, $95 for the sensor. Those are one-time costs. If you have multiple doors that need multiple sensors, then it's just an additional $95 per sensor. If you need, if like, so if you're in that Macy's scenario, you need five doors covered. So that would be 5 times 95. That's a one-time cost. That's easy. If you have a location where one door is on one side of the store, one door is on the other, you need two sensors, two hubs, 95 times 4. Really, really easy. And then in addition to that, everything, the dashboard, unlimited warranty and lifetime warranty on all the hardware, unlimited access to customer support. So we never cap you at like, oh, well, you hit your 100 hours of support, pay us a bill. Never gonna do that to you. Unlimited access to customer support, and that's via chat, phone. We have a knowledge base center. Email us, whatever we can do to help you out. No worries, we're there for you. We do have annual versus monthly plans. Standard plan, basically just foot traffic data. You can get that, view the dashboard and everything. Is $99 per month. That does drop if you pay annually. Pro version, which also includes our API access and also includes point of sale integration. That is $149, drops to $99, paid annually. Really anything over like 30 locations, once you start getting into those sort of regional chains or definitely enterprise locations, those are sort of custom because everybody wants something different. And everybody's got their own thing going on. So we like to come up with something a little bit creative for them. If we have to add on additional service, if we want to deliver single sign-on to them, or a specific integration, or if they need specific deployment terms, whatever they have, we can definitely make that work for them. So all of those include unlimited users. No worries about the number of users you have on the dashboard. You can get that to everybody, and that is per location. So it is not per door, which is a very key differentiator. Obviously, if you're, I don't know, if you're the Javits Center in New York and you have 1,000 doors, that's not one location. Or if you're, the Sears Tower, or what is it called now? Oh man! Or if you're One World Trade Center, that's not going to be one location, right? Then we would have to have one sort of a per sensor, more facilities management model, which we do all the time. Really flexible, really predictable, and easy for our facilities partners like CBRE and those type of folks. Really, really easy for them. But if you're a retailer, basically prices per location. That makes sense. And then what's in it for you? Really, the benefit is that there is a huge market here for retailers who need foot traffic data. Either on the independent side, they just haven't had an option available to them. And I can't tell you how many times people come to us and are like, I've been looking for something for like 5 years to get my foot traffic data, and I can't do it. I can't spend $5,000 on a camera. I just can't do that. Or like they want to charge me 3 years up front. I just can't do that. Plus the installation process is just a nightmare for those independent retailers. But for us, installation is really easy. They know they need their foot traffic data. Pricing is affordable for them. It's a really easy market to get into. And then on the enterprise side, the opportunity there is just massive. There are a lot of folks who, if you think of any enterprise retailer, chances are they'll have something for foot traffic. But the something that they have, either I can almost guarantee you that they don't have it in all of their stores. If they have, they probably have 5% of their stores, max. A lot of times they'll go with, okay, well, let's try this camera thing out. Let's do 30 stores. They might have 1,000 stores. They do 30 and they're like, all right, well, by the time we roll out, this is going to be 30 years from now. So we're going to stop this project. It's already cost us too much. We're just not going to do it anymore. And the data that they get, they're very dissatisfied with it. So there's really such a thing as a very happy traditional foot traffic counter customer. So we do that all the time where we go in and say, hey, I understand this project took you like 2 years to get through, spent a whole lot of money on it. You only got to 30 stores. I can get to that many by the end of this week. You want to try it out? Okay, great. We do that. We get more accurate data. We're getting them the experience that they need, and then it's a really quick process to move on and say, okay, yeah, this makes sense to roll out to all of our stores. And across all of that, you get 20% uncapped commission on all of our hardware, the first year of service attached to any door. And then every year after that, just to sort of keep up the customers, a 5% year-over-year commission. So it's recurring revenue. It's a solid avenue for revenue for you guys, and it's something that your retailers know that they need, but they just can't figure out through no fault of their own. They know they need it. There's just not a whole lot of options for them out there that are easy, affordable, get them accurate data, and can help them make business decisions. So yeah, those are the benefits for you. If you want to sign up or have any questions or whatever, go to try.getdoor.com/reseller. It's a really simple landing page that it basically just has a link to my calendar, essentially. If you have any questions or want to sort of dig through any opportunities that you have, feel free to do that. Set up a call with me. Get everything you need to get going with. Alternatively, my email address is just Sean, SEAN, @getdoor.com. I should have put that up here. Feel free to reach out. I think we'll be sending this webinar out afterwards with sort of all the information that you need to get to start on Door. But happy to answer any questions you guys have. And I think that's all I got for you guys. Happy to answer any questions.
Sean, there is a few waiting to be answered. If you want to take a look.
Yep. Let's see. This question thing. So how does the integration with Star printers work? So currently it's under development. But basically, the way our point of sale out of the box integrations work is if you have Lightspeed or Square, you log into your Door dashboard and you can just say, hey, I have Lightspeed or I have Square. Say, okay, click. You log into your Lightspeed account. Great. Authorize Door. Click done. Automatically, we're pulling in data from Lightspeed or Square. The same will hold true for Star. Just another option will be, I have a Star printer. Okay, great. So thereafter, we'll just be able to say, I think it's from whatever the latest driver is from that Star printer. Be able to say, okay, yep, I've identified that. Great, done. Authorize, done. We're now being able to read those receipts and understand those transactions, those trends, and when they came in, and then pulling that data in to show you how many transactions you had, what's your conversion rate, how does that compare to foot traffic, and all the things that you would get from anybody. And the really great benefit of that is, since there are a billion different point of sale systems out there, we don't necessarily want to integrate with all of them. We can't. We can. I mean, everybody who's an independent retailer at least has a Star printer. So that's a really easy in. Question about is there a way to like move this question thing up? How are you reading our receipts? That's not on my side of the net. Star, I know we've been working with them on sort of image processing of those receipts. Anytime a receipt is printed or something gets sent to the receipt printer, that is then stripped down of all the details and just says, okay, here's the transaction count, here's the dollar amount on the receipt. Send that raw data to Door, and then from there we're able to do our processing. But that's on the Star side. Hope that answers your question. Let's see. Is there an easy way to map it? Yep.
The one question asked is only Square and Lightspeed integrated, or do you have more ISVs?
So right now, out of the box, Square and Lightspeed are integrated. With our API, you can integrate with anything at all, and it's really, really easy. The API will give you whatever you need to hook up with all the foot traffic data to hook up with your with whatever point of sale system you have, whatever reporting dashboard you have, business intelligence tools, whatever you need to do. The API will definitely help you do that. We're also working right now on a way to for people who can't use an API. To be able to upload point of sale data via CSV or Excel. So you should be able to pull a report from your point of sale system, whatever it is, upload that to Door, and then we will do the conversion rate calculations and everything like that for you. Hope that answers your question. Another question was 99 versus 149. Is that monthly? Is that annually? So that would be paid monthly per location. Again, not per door, but per location. There is a discounted rate. So I believe that goes down to $69 a month and $99 a month when paid and annually. And then one of the questions is, how do we handle drive-through traffic for QSR? Unfortunately, we are focused on human beings and how they walk into an individual space. If you're a QSR and you put us on your door, we can do that all day long, but we don't do drive-through traffic with cars or anything like that. One hub can read multiple sensors. If so, then can be within 30 feet. Yep, answer that one.
There was one, Sean. Did you say that one hub could read multiple sensors? And if
Yep.
so, do all the sensors need to be within the 30 feet?
Yeah, one hub can handle an unlimited amount of sensors as long as they're within 30 feet of that hub. If there are doors and sensors that are outside of that 30-foot radius, then you would just need another hub to get that data. I'm just scrolling through the questions here, making sure I got them. Couple on the integration with Star, I think we answered.
I believe we got them all. I actually have one for you though. What do you see as the biggest benefit for Door? Is it like the staffing solution, the sales data that you receive with the analytics, or what do you see as the biggest?
I think probably the biggest thing is probably staffing. Staffing and conversion rate, I think, are the two biggest things. Understanding when to staff people to make sure that you're meeting customer demand, that has an immediate impact on how many visitors are converting. Simply because that has a huge impact on the experience that they get and whether their questions are answered, whether they find whatever they were looking for. Staffing definitely the easiest thing to do once you start implementing Door, and that has a huge increase in your conversion rate and Star for you. And then tracking conversion rate, sort of the other things that go into that, just making sure that you have that data. Conversion rate is arguably the most important metric in physical retail. There's been books written on how important conversion rate is, but it's certainly one of the most important. But being able to get that, you just can't do that without foot traffic data. There's no way to do that. From there, okay, what's the store versus store, what's going on in this store. You can get much more granular on staffing, measuring marketing effectiveness, how that impacts your traffic and therefore your conversion rate. I think those would be the two, but staffing is probably the easiest one to do. There's another question about, does it work outside the US? Yes, we do. We can work pretty much anywhere in the world. So happy to have those engagements outside of the US. We have deployments pretty much all over the place, the UK, Sweden, Germany, France, China, Japan, Singapore, lots of places. The $99 monthly, is it for the hub only? So the $99 is that comes with so the sensor and the hub are both $95 each. That's a one-time cost just to buy the hardware. And then after that, it's $99 a month. That's monthly. It's $69 a month when paid annually. That gives you access to all the features on the Door dashboard, unlimited access to customer support, unlimited warranty on all the hardware. The addition that you would get with Going Pro would be API access and point of sale integration. Yep, and then so like I said, a couple of different questions about what's the additional cost of the sensor. So it's $95 per sensor. So if you have 3 doors, it's 3 times 95. If you got 10 doors, 10 times 95. I think that's the question. Are there any more you see? Do you have customers in Latin America? We do. We have some in Mexico, some in Central America. So yeah, we can definitely do that for you.
Yeah, I believe we got them all. Um,
Yeah, of course, if you guys do have any questions that come up after this, if you're sort of looking through the webinar again or any of the content, feel free to shoot me an email. Again, it's just Sean, SEAN, at getdoor.com, GETDOR, or just go to that try.getdoor.com/reseller, and we'll get you set up. There's a question on who's our competition today. So I think that those fall into sort of three different buckets. One would be brake beam type sensors, which we talked about. There are a bunch of them out there, really simple to overcome. Camera-based solutions, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. If you're at NRF, there are hundreds of those things out there. They all basically do the same thing. They're a camera, you point it at the door, and they give you, basic analytics on top of those. There are a bunch of those, but all of them have the same problems, really. Just the cost associated with them. The technology just needs a whole lot to get up and running and to maintain over time. Those constant calibrations or recalibrations, those are really difficult. And a lot of times people, it's not a thing anymore, really. It's sort of this third branch, having been, sort of beacon or Wi-Fi, Bluetooth tracking people's phones and all that. That was a big thing maybe like 2 years ago, not much anymore for foot traffic. Euclid Analytics tried to do this. They do a really awesome job with providing Wi-Fi services and analytics on top of that, but they can never get accurate foot traffic data. And the reason for that is it's so hard to one, not everybody has their phone on them, not everybody has their Wi-Fi hooked up, not everybody has your app that they need to be logged into and open up or anything like that. So getting accurate data is just impossible from that standpoint. And then sort of making sense of it on the back end, it just didn't work. So they don't provide that data anymore. And not a lot of people are trying to do that anymore. That's really good supplemental information. Okay, how many people came in? Okay, how many of those then are repeat customers or VIPs or whoever? You can get a small subset of that data, but it's not very reliable for foot traffic data. Hope that answers your question.
okay, I think that's all we got. We'll be sending the presentation out. It's been recorded, so if you want to review and look over it again, it'll be going out in an email. Sean, thank you again. Oh, actually,
Yep, we do. Here, got on what verticals do we target? So the two big ones are one retail, and that's any retail. So like I said, one store or 10,000 stores or everything in between. We are extremely scalable for all of them. So we have a ton of customers in each one of those locations. It doesn't matter what they sell or what type of store they are. If they're a retailer, they need their foot traffic and they can have Door. Outside of retail, we do a lot with facility management. So we do office buildings, bathroom utilization, conference room utilization. That's mostly bathroom utilization is a big one for us that I never really thought we would be doing, but apparently there's a huge market for it. Bathroom utilization to understand when they need to be cleaned, staffing, maybe at higher, busier times or lower times. Instead of sending someone in there every single hour, you know when people are in there, and you can maintain your facilities that way and manage your staffing expenses associated with that. Conference room utilization is a big one for us in a lot of office buildings. Just office traffic in general, things like that. So we do a lot of office work. We do a lot of things, sort of like we're on cruise ships. We're in a lot of malls. Anywhere really you need to understand foot traffic, we're there. We do a lot of libraries, museums, sort of visitor centers for parks, anything like that. We do hospitality, we do hotels a lot, and a lot of their office rooms, or especially their sort of lounges, lounges at airports, like Delta lounges, things like that. We do a lot of like Hilton or Starwood lounges, because they're just like, I don't know how many people will come in here, but I'm just going to buy a whole lot of food and see what happens. Who knows? So there's no way to really track that. I mean, they do have the badge system, but a lot of times someone will badge in and then they pull the door open and 20 people walk in. So we help them get a better understanding of how many people come in. Hospitality, as far as restaurants go, and QSR, not really our thing. I think there is a business case there as far as QSRs and conversion rate, because if you walk in and you've only got, a quick lunch, 20 minutes for lunch or half hour, whatever it is, and the line's out the door, you're like, all right, I walked in, I'm not waiting in this line. Not going to happen. If you had probably one more staff person or something like that, you would be able to move that line along a bit quicker, and therefore capture a bit more of that opportunity. But for most people, we've done a lot of coffee shops and stuff, and they're just like, it's close enough to 100% conversion rate that I don't really care. So that's not really a good vertical for us. We don't think. Anyway, I think that's the end of the questions.
All right, Sean. Thank you, everybody, for your questions. Sean, thanks for your time. It's a very good presentation, very thorough. Like I said before, we'll be sending out the presentation via email to everybody that registered. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Bye. Thank you.